I'm Peter Kapitein. I work in Inspire2Live. I'm a cancer patient. People call it a cancer survivor. 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with a lymphoma. And 1 year after that, I was asked by someone to help and initiate a fundraising campaign. And we collected in that year, 2006, 350,000 euros, which we thought was an amazing amount of money. But we thought, okay, what will we do with it? We collected it for the Dutch Cancer Organization, so we transferred the money, but we thought we have to know what to do with the money. And so I called a very famous Dutch oncologist and I said, what should we do with the money? And he said, well, I have an advice, why don't you go around the table with a clinician and a researcher? And I was completely naive at that moment. I still am, but at that moment I was in another way naive. And I sat around the table with a clinician, with a researcher, and we discussed what to do with 350,000 euros. And out of it came a beautiful project, because we discussed the need of patients. How can you make judgments about healthcare when patients are not involved? Patients are not involved in healthcare. That sounds silly, but they are needed. They're not in the center of healthcare. And I thought that was strange. After a couple of years, in 2006, I had best healthcare that you could think of. But after a couple of years, I realized that healthcare is not necessarily benefiting the patients. And how does it come? Well, I work in finance since 1985. And I asked myself the question, how is it possible that someone who works in finance tells you in 2009 that it's all right that your bonus is higher than in 2008? And he's honest about his opinion. How is it possible that a doctor tells a patient, I'm not going to give you this drug because I don't know what the long-term effects of this drug will be? And the patient tells the doctor, but doctor, I'm probably dead in 3 months, so I'm happy with long-term effects in 5 years. Now, Stephen and I discussed a couple of years ago the military-industrial complex, and I realized that the military-industrial complex was not something from a left socialistic anarchist like me, but it was a statement from the most respected general ever, President of the United States, Eisenhower, who taught us that the triangle of armed forces, industry and government does not necessarily benefit the American citizen. Beware of the military-industrial complex. That's exactly the same what is going on in finance. It's exactly the same what is going on in healthcare. We are not benefiting the American citizen from the safety perspective. Not benefiting the guy with a saving account in finance, and we're not benefiting patients. So how does that come? Well, our organization didn't know how to do that. But by accident, we put together patients, researchers, and clinicians. And what we do is combining arguments and the emotions. Emotions are our driving force. Our patient advocates are all patients, cancer survivors, or loved ones from deceased. And they combine their emotion, their driving force, with arguments. They're all highly educated, very well informed, very eloquent. And they know that they're not always an invited guest around the table. And if they're around the table where the decisions should be made, they realize that they're not always wanted at the table. But the force that comes from patients, in combination with the people who know what to do and how to do it, which most of the times are clinicians and researchers, is so enormous that will make a difference. Thank you.